is going on, flock? Hey everybody, this is a special 3 in 3 out. I am down in Orlando, Florida for business. Sometimes you got to take care of business. We all know this, right? So me sitting here writing as many words as I write, it's just not going to happen. It's going to take way too long. So we're going to do a special video 3 in 3 out this week. I hope you're all going to like it and enjoy it. I got my old school. This was for Kenny Easley, of course. We all know about the first half. We all know about the second half. 3 in 3 out's not going to canvas anything about the injuries. You know, our hearts go out to Chris Carson and the others that went down too, but especially Chris Carson. So we're going to dive into the good, the bad, the ugly, the nooks, the crannies, everything already. So buckle up. This is going to be an awesome 3 in 3 out. We're going to recap this game and maybe talk a little bit of next week versus the Catfish, the Rams. All right. See you in a little bit. Go Hawks. All right, for the poker players out there, or blackjack players, whatever your game, I guess. If you're into cards, you might have heard the old saying, "Cut it thin, bound to win." Well, on 3 in 3 out, we have a different saying. When we win, we start with an in. So we're going to start with a really nice in here. There's a lot of good to get here. There's some bad to cover too, but the in that jumped off the screen to me, literally, I'm going to call it 21 Jump Street. It was the drive after we give up the safety. So Russell tries to go and do Russell Wilson things. We love him for that, of course. His knee goes down, the safety goes up. It's 3-2. We're punting the ball back, and we're like, oh, you know, here we go again in certain ways, right? And that next drive, there's a particular play. I'm going to embed the tweets. I'm going to embed some YouTubes. I'm going to embed MySpace if I can find it out there. I will put it in there because it just needs to be seen from all angles and all media, medium, and everything else that gets in between there. But the play that Frank Clark makes coming down the line, he's got a lineman trying to cut him, just trying to get all nasty, trying to cut him. I mean, you know, it's a clean play as far as football goes, but just trying to go low. And my man, Frank the Tank, he does this leapfrog. He does this Frogger thing where he just gets over, accelerates, goes over this gigantic human being of a gentleman who's on the Colts, and then makes this beautiful tackle right down the line right there, you know, shutting down this run for basically no gain. It just the momentum that we had lost with that safety, giving the ball back, and then one play later or 2 plays later, same exact series, Shaq Griffin gets all sticky and makes a really nice play on 3rd down, and they got to punt and give it back to us. But just it's here. Look right below. Watch the type of player Frank Clark is. Watch this athleticism. This is just a freak of nature type play, and this is the kind of stuff he brings to us week in, week out. This guy is a beast. I've been loving Frank Clark since day one. He was the guy that I predicted last year would be, you know, the standout player, and that panned out. So my mama Cleo was right, and Frank Clark is just the man. This is a beautiful play. This is in number 1 for the week. Watch it again, and then watch it a 3rd time and a 4th time, because it just does not get any better than that. The combination of athleticism and just execution, and what a sick combination. That is the first in for this big win this week. Watch Frank the Tank celebrate it, tweet the man, just tell him how good it was, and you know, reshare it because it's that darn good. So in number 1, Frank the Tank Clark. All right, as you know, because you know the millions and millions of fans who follow 3 in 3 out, which is exclusively written and recorded and performed for the Seahawks podcast, of course. As you already know, we kind of like to single things out that you know are going to get glossed over in a particular in a you know, average recap, and go a little bit deeper, because you got plenty of people who do really good statistical analysis. You got plenty of people who give you passionate kind of game recap analysis, but our job on 3 in 3 out is to dig a little bit deeper. So one of the outs, this just infuriated me because it just didn't make any sense. Like the play, it just corrupted my soul when I saw this happen. And then I watched the replay. I'm like, you gotta know better than this. The play is as of such. Look at my notes real quick. It's a 2nd and 2. We're in the 3rd quarter. At this point, it's a really tight game. I think we're still down at this point. And it's 2nd and 2, and we run this beautifully executed bubble screen to Paul Richardson to P. Rich. Now, bubble screens have not been our friend. Just ask Adam on the pod. Not his favorite play, right? Now, I happen to think that bubble screens out to like Lockett and P. Rich are actually more effective than out to Baldwin. Just seems to be that we just get a few more yards, in which that's the whole darn point, right? Get a few more yards on it. So we run this beautiful bubble screen out to P. Rich. He scampers ahead for 6-7 yards. It's an easy first down. And then we see the yellow flag just boom. Like, well, okay, what do we do now, right? Because it was flags for a long stretch there. Like, what do we do? And then they show it, and they call tripping, and they called it tripping on Ibushi. And then we go back and look at it, and Ibushi's on the right side of the line, and he gets his man. He's on the ground, and he's the guy's completely out of the play. His guy and the guy he's engaged with tries to take a step forward, and Ibushi gives him a little sweep the leg. He gives him a little Cobra Kai for no reason at all. He's on the right hand side. It is a bubble screen to the left hand side, and I know as a competitor, I've played sports all my life. I get it. I'm not on the NFL level. I understand, but you play sports and you want to win, and this is the passion that's all through all of us if you play sports. I get all that. But you've got to be smarter that a big old lineman that you're engaged with who's on the backside of a play is not going to affect that play. He's not going to get to P. Rich on a bubble screen to the left-hand side. It's not going to happen. But Ibushi goes all Cobra Kai, and he just sticks his leg out and tries to sweep the leg, and does a little bit. And it's just one of those things that refs are usually going to see. Because if you're flat on your ground and you stick your leg out and the guy trips over you because you stuck your leg out and you're on the backside of the play, you just got to be smarter than that. It irritated the crap out of me then. It's pissing me off right now, as you can probably tell. So Ibushi, who's played well in these 2 games, he's actually solidified some of these things. So we can't holler at the guy too bad. But we are into the nooks and we are into the crannies, and when you get this deep and you get into an abyss, you talk about the small things. That's what this is about. So Ibushi needs to have better sense, better brain on his head, and understand that play is nowhere near him. Let the guy try and chase P. Rich, who's already 8 yards downfield, and we move the chains. All right, we're coming at you with the second big in. So last week on 3 and 3 Out, if you go check out the previous episode, if you will, we talked about the resurgence that we saw in the second half versus the Titans, that we saw the return of the sexy deep balls. And we said, listen, if we need to take advantage of a pretty bad Colts team, and we need to see sexy deep balls, not when there's 30 seconds left in a half in the first half, and then somehow in the second second half when we're trying to come back. And certainly, actually, that's kind of how it played out. But the big in this time is that early in the game, we had a beautiful, sexy deep ball to Doug Baldwin. It was as gorgeous. There's nothing better as a Seahawks fan. Well, there's 2 amazing things Russell does to cripple defenses. Number one is the Russell Wilson doing Russell Wilson things, and just escaping things that pretty much no other quarterback can escape, and just crushing the soles and moving the chains. That's always lovely. The other thing that he does so darn good are just these over-the-top, sexy deep balls, kind of that like intermediate 25 to 35 yarder where he just drops it in a basket for the receiver, like in stride. And we saw that a couple of times this game. The first one was a Doug that got the juices flowing, that got everybody fired up in the stands. Everybody who was on the Seahawkers Ring of Honor on Facebook fired up as well, and Twitter fired up, and obviously a competitor like Baldwin's going to get fired up too. These are the kind of plays we need to stretch. We need to go vertical. We need to do it early. We need to do it often. And lo and behold, when we did it early, then later in the game, other things were opening up, and we saw it time and time again. We saw Russell go 3 or 4 more times when he had that like 25 to 35 yarder where he just drops it in a basket. There might not be another quarterback in the NFL that does it as consistently as Russell does it, and he had one heck of a game. But that first sexy deep ball to Doug Baldwin, that is what we want to single out and say that gets the in, because that started everything. That started the flywheel, if you will. That gets the in. The performance after carries through. Love the call. Love the execution, of course. And that is in number 2. 7:57 to go in third quarter. I do not like putting Tyler Lockett on the outside of any ledger. I have a Tyler Lockett Wolf Gray Tyler Lockett jersey. It's the only current Seahawk jersey I have. I got it during his rookie season. That's how much I enjoy Tyler Lockett as a football player. I really love me some Tyler Lockett, okay? However, in a punt return situation with, again, third quarter, this game is still tight. At that point, we got to go back and check the ledger. But 7:57 to go in the third quarter. I don't know. We're not. If we're up, we're only up by a few, and the Colts have got to punt it back to us. And Lockett is so good, so good. 99 out of 100 times that I've seen, 48 out of 50, whatever the math is, so very often good that if he doesn't have a returnable punt, he will rush up and make sure that he gets in good fair catch position, secures the fair catch, and that's it. He secures the ball. This time, don't know exactly what happened, but he just looks like he's unsure. Ever play tennis? Ever play tennis or get coached in tennis? There's two places to be if you're playing tennis. One of them is at the net. If you're at the net, you can be aggressive. The other one is at the baseline. And if you get caught anywhere in between the baseline and the net, you're dead. You're toast. Any good player, worth their salt. If you're in between the net and the baseline, they're going to find a way to bury you, and you're done. You cannot play from that position on a tennis court. When I'm watching him about to go field this punt, he just hesitates for 1/2 of a second, and basically he's stuck in between the net and the baseline, and he lets the ball bounce, and the ball careens and trickles way back, and it gets somewhere down into the 5. Now, after they had already downed the ball around the 2-yard line that led to the safety way earlier in the game, you're sitting there going, man, you've got to make that play. And again, 99 times or 16 Lockets out of 17 Lockets, if you want to get all numerical about it, he makes that play almost every single time. So I don't like putting Tyler Lockett on the outside of the ledger, but in a close game, you cannot play tennis and be stuck between the net and the baseline, and that's exactly what happened. So unfortunate for Lockett that he just made a bad non-decision in that moment. He gets the out. Tyler Lockett had a pretty good game. Tyler Lockett did some nice things on the receiving side. But in that instance, he gets the out. It was a really poorly executed play. It cost the Seahawks. Luckily, it didn't hurt us long term, but that was a poor play. So, Tyler Lockett, you get the out this week on that one. All right, on to our third in. All right, as much as we'd like to avoid, some of the obvious things that happen, and because again, we're all going to see the highlights. We're all going to hear the game recaps. And of course, we're gonna get the big plays. However, this one comes from an unlikely hero. Which, by the way, the hero thing, we're gonna get into that because I've got a theory. I've got a little maybe a conspiracy theory, but it's a little bit of a theory. But it's got to go to Coleman, right? I mean, we have to recognize not just the pick six. That pick six was really cool. Now think about this too. Coleman knows Brissett. Brissett and Coleman were teammates, so not all that long ago, right? So a couple days before the season starts, essentially, and they both get traded off to different teams, and then, Blammo, he's reading Brissett, he jumps a route, bad decision by Brissett, who played a pretty good game. Let's be fair about that. Did pretty well for himself, and then pick six to the house, literally like exactly what we needed. We needed that kind of play, but that was not Coleman's only good play of the night. Coleman is a very good DB. It's just this flat. He has a outstanding ability to stay with his guys. I mean, you try that man deep and he's on. You try the man underneath and he's right there with you. So when we're looking at Coleman, Shaq, and Sherman out there, this is some pretty. And of course you got Thomas and you got Cam, and Cam played a pretty good game too. Cam stood out. He did a nice job on Doyle and just had pressure the whole time. And Thomas does what he does. He's just flying around making tackles. He's just everywhere. When you have that combo out there, it is a pretty nice. I mean, we don't really struggle with our DBs. Typically, our DBs are a strong suit, of course, right? Legion of Boom. Coleman has slid into a really nice position. When we're looking at trading a 7th round pick in a future year for a guy who is now playing that level of DB for us, That's pretty insane, right? So this is almost like a shared in to John Schneider for pulling that one off too. We'll give it to Coleman because maybe he did most of the work. Let's just say he did most of the work, but we'll give Schneider credit where credit due for pulling off that trade too. Now, here's the conspiracy theory. I think that Jeremy Lane and Coleman are the same person, right? I think it's like Clark Kent and Superman. Because what happens is Lane's in the game, and he's doing what he does, but he's pushing up the glasses, he's being all polite, he's playing all right, he's doing okay. Sometimes he's getting getting worked. In the Titans game, he was getting blown out, and lots of runs where Lane was just getting crushed. But that was last week. We're gonna move forward. But when Lane gets injured, here comes Coleman, right? It's like we don't see them on the field at the same time. I believe there's a phone booth. There's something going on where Lane gets injured and then Coleman comes in the game and we get this shutdown corner. So Coleman's going to get the in. Schneider gets the tip of the hat for just being the GM that he is. He has contributed in multiple games now. Coleman has earned the right to play more football. That's as simple as it gets. I like Jeremy Lane. The man has done good things as a Seahawk, but right now we are a better defense if Coleman's out there with Shaq, of course, and of course Sherman, right? That seems to be the best mixture we could put out there. So why don't we do more of that? So the in goes to Coleman. Huzzah and everything already. Good job. Beautiful first career interception. It was a pick six. It's against your old teammate. It's at home. It's in prime time. You know what? Now everybody knows your name, and that's deserved. So awesome stuff, man. All right. This next out, it'll be a quick one, but it's a little painful. It's just a little painful. The last thing we want to see as Seahawks fans, we just don't want to see Blair Walsh going through these head games on the field, right? It's a little like, I get a little nauseous watching that, to be honest, right? So we had 25 seconds to go in the half, and Bevel finds the good plays book. He's like, here they are. Here are the good plays, the plays that get us downfield much, much faster. So we find the good plays book. 3 plays later, we go from the 25, I think it was, right, from a touchback, and we're all the way down in just 3 quick plays. This beautiful, beautiful zips by Wilson, just boom, boom, boom. We're down. We have a chance to salvage this half and go in at 15-13 instead of 15-10. It's been a kind of disgusting half as it was. Lots of penalties. We're losing to the Colts at home. Let me say that again. We're losing to the Colts at home. Russell Wilson just comes out. He starts firing the ball again because he's got the good book play in his hand that we don't seem to use early enough. And then Walsh goes out there and just pooches a field goal. Pushes it to the right. And, it was just like this deflating moment where all of Twitter and all of Facebook was just like, oh, that's it. We suck, and this is typical, and all that jazz, and there's no way in the world we're coming out and scoring 30-some-odd points in the second half. And it felt like that, But beyond the miss kick, then to come back from halftime and to watch Walsh out there during halftime, and he's missing kicks at home off a tee with nobody there, I'm just sitting there shaking my head going, Walsh, like, man, you got to internalize this somehow. Like, maybe this is the way he works these things out. I mean, I guess he's got to do what he's got to do, right? But, however, in a game like this where we end up blowing a team out and having such a great second half and so much fun, minus the injuries that we talked about earlier, which really put a damper on the kind of the fun celebration towards the end of the game. Just watching Walsh go through that, can't be missing kicks like that. You have to be making kicks like that in the NFL, and then to go out and do what you're doing during halftime to come back and see that, tough. So, hey, it's an out. We ended up blowing the Colts out. So, Walsh, you get the out this week. Just don't end up on this side of the ledger in like December and then in January and then hopefully in February. Don't be on this side of the ledger. Just be money, man. Just do what you got to do. All right? All right, we had some really good commentary from the flock. You can see that below. Just scroll a little bit down. I try to incorporate as many of the tweets and some of the stuff from Facebook. If you didn't get in there, it's not because I didn't think it was worthy. It's just that I'm on the road this week and I'm compiling this kind of quickly. But I try to put a few in there. And just a big thanks to everyone who contributes takes the time to write and hang out during the game, whether that's on Twitter, whether that's on the Seahawks Ring of Honor on Facebook. It's a ton of fun. Even though we're watching this game virtually, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like you're watching it with a good group of folks who really, really love this team, which makes it that much more fun. Let's be honest. That's what we're all here to be passionate. We're all here to have fun with this, and it makes it that much more fun. So thank you for the contributions. So we are rolling into week 5. We're 2-2. This is a situation we've been in before, and by the way, we're going to play the Rams, and we're going to play the Rams on the road. And the last couple of years, this has been like, oh my gosh, this game's giving me agita. I need some Mylanta, and I need some Pepto, and I need some Tums, and then I need some more Pepto, and then I probably need a little more Tums on top of that. And I'm going to mash it, I'm going to muddle that, and I'm going to find a way to drink that down, and I'm still going to be sick because we're going to play the Rams on the road, and I realize we're going to score like 11 points max in that game. But this year, you just get the feeling this is going to be a lot different. Not only are the Rams averaging like 35.5 points a game, but I just think Seattle is going to be able to move the ball versus this team. So I don't expect this to be, your cousin Larry's 16-10 St. Louis Rams Seahawks game. I do not expect this to be your Aunt Bertha's 12-9 Seahawks Rams game. I think this is going to be a lot more fun. I think it's going to be a lot more explosive. I think the Rams are going to move the ball. The Rams are playing good football. They're going to be at home. Gurley is he's playing great. What else can you say? I didn't think he was that good of a player. Goff is clearly taking a big step. We'll see what we do, see how we can contain that guy. I think we'll do a good job, but this has the markings of, potentially like a 28-27, a 31-27, 34-31 game, and that's just exciting. When was the last time we went into a Rams game and we're like, wow, this is probably going to be a decent shootout where we see lots of points on the board and see lots of exciting plays. Let's see how it plays out. I could be completely wrong, and we can win the game 3-2, and I'll say then our record is 3-2, and that's a W, and let's move on. But my spidey sense is tingling that this is going to be both teams in the 20s, maybe one team in the 30s, and that team wins the game. Obviously, we're hoping it's the Hawks. Listen, we got a long season ahead. It's kind of weird to say that, at Rams is a test, but it is. We got to win on the road. We can't just win 8 games at home and then muddle our way through. We got to win some of these tough games on the road. So why don't we start this week? Why don't we go, march into LA, and why don't we just go toe-to-toe and beat what is a pretty good Rams team? So let's see how it all shakes out. Listen, we love doing this with you. Again, more commentary from the flock is always welcome. And, of course, you can read all these articles and see some of these videos at Seahawkerspodcast.com/3i30, which stands for 3 in, 3 out. We will talk to you next time. We'll have some fun on Sunday. And, of course, go Hawks.